broadcast was made available courtesy of the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in conjunction with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. I now hand you over to John Jacob Kiori at the Parliament of Kenya buildings. Good evening.
The constitutional remarking that what didn't happen will happen. Of course, criticizing the judgment of the judges who presided over the Supreme Court case, and that is a Court of Appeal case as well as a High Court case. Remember, it was a unanimous decision by both levels of the judiciary in terms of their verdict on the referendum bill, or the whole process of the referendum. But President Uhuru Kenyatta says what didn't happen will happen, and that is the climax of his conversation this evening. Quite interesting. The president used about almost 2 hours elucidating on his achievements from 2018. But right now, I'm joined by a member of parliament. Very quickly, tell our viewers who you are, which county you come from.
My name is Honorable Rashid Amin, MP Wajia's constituency from Wajir County.
All right.
His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta has used today's session to expound on his achievement for the last 10 years and for his succession. And he has explicitly been very clear. He has indicated who is going to succeed from him, and he said it very clearly. Anybody who believes in the BBI is the one who is going to succeed his leadership. That was very clear. That was candid enough. And he wanted the good values of BBI, the good intentions of BBI to be succeeded, and any one time that is going to be succeeded. But as far as the economy is concerned, he has not been able to give out. He said Kenya has been able to grow economically from 13, the best in Africa, the wealthiest in Africa, to 6 in Africa. But how is that translated? The GDP has increased to 11 billion shillings. How is that translated to the common man? Has the common man, the poverty index reduced? No. Has the value translated, the economy translated equally to the common man? No. But yet the country has increased in terms of wealth as the 6th wealthiest country in Africa. So, but how it's going to be translated into Kenya, into the rest of the Kenyans, is one question that Kenyans have to expound on and to clearly understand.
Quite a telling question on the part of the president when he says what didn't happen will happen in reference to the BBI bill. I really want to understand, probably from your perspective, what did that mean?
That was very clear. He says if it is not going to happen through the Supreme Court, so that we gain the BBI, then it means anybody whom he feels who is a believer in the BBI is going to be the succession and is going to be succession. That he has given a clear indication on who is going to succeed. Among the principles, you know, in the current country, you know who is a believer in the BBI. So it was a clear indication. What I have not been able to achieve, it is going to be achieved and it's going to be done. How it's going to be done is we are here to see it. So that was very clear, and I think the head of state was very clear in his statement. Right. Thank you very much.
Member of Parliament for Wajir is talking to us, really about the feeling as regards President Uhuru Kenyatta's speech. And, listening to the president keenly, you could tell this was his last speech for the State of a Nation address. And now, Mheshimiwa Tongi joins us from Parliament. Listening to, the president, how would you rate his last State of a Nation address?
The president has done very well. He has explained what he has achieved as a president. He has explained his vision for the country. And I want to believe that one of the biggest deliverables that he is going to bequeath Kenyans is the unity of purpose and unifying the Kenyans. Because without all that unity, all the development agenda that he has spoken about will not go far. And we are grateful as a country that we have a person who has that passion for the country, because he, as he said, from statistics, statistics, in another 10 years, we'll be having more than 63 million Kenyans. So we have a duty of ensuring that we rate infrastructure, put it in place so that people will get the facilities to use when that time comes. Having said that, it's important for me to mention that we need to do a lot more because unemployment is a big issue. The youth today are whining and complaining, and for good reason, because of unemployment. We want to believe that for the remaining short period of the president, we are going to address unemployment of the youth, and also the subsequent leadership which is going to come in will address unemployment of the youth because it's such a big concern, and it's a big concern. When we tell them that the economy has grown in leaps and bounds, they don't understand that language because the economy to them would mean more employment, and we can't see that employment on the ground. But we believe that with the structure and the system that your president has put in place will in future help us to achieve that, which is the biggest concern of all of us.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic. We'll keep giving a few minutes to each and every member of parliament so we can. The MP4 I'll die. Even I'm not right.
Yeah, you're right.
Finally, tell us about your feelings about what President Uhuru Kenyatta has said here today.
In my observation, it's true that this government did work at the beginning of the first term.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate that President, whoever did the speech, didn't work out the figures. The president at some point was giving us figures of KMC making 1 million shillings a month, a day. And his calculation was coming to about 3 billion shillings a year, which is not true actually. The figures could have been about 360 million shillings. So I realized the speechwriter made us a lot of errors in it. Number two, it seemed the president seemed to be out of touch with the reality. Kenyans are actually suffering. From the speech, the president was expressing the fact that our economy is doing very well. In the reality, unless you are not in the villages, unless you are not in small towns, Kenyans are suffering. Kenyans are actually borrowing heavily on Polisa. We are having about 17 million Kenyans on Polisa to show that people are suffering. And unlike the fact that you have been told by the president that we are doing very well, it's not the fact. I wish that more figures can be drawn, and the president should be briefed well. Kenyans are suffering, and I wish that all of us can be alive to it. The other day, we got information that Kenya Railways were making a loss of 24 billion shillings. Actually, if you look at what KQ, we made a loss of 20 billion shillings. The government took a lot of money to bail them out. We are being told that this economy has produced about 80 trillion shillings in the last 8-9 years. If that is the case, then why are we borrowing? There seem to be a lot of issues that the president should be brief enough, and so that we don't actually give figures to please the Kenyans, but in the reality, there are things that need to be worked out. When you talk about also the tarmac, we are talking about 11,000 kilometers. There are roads that actually were eye-marked, like even my constituents was supposed to have been done. They were never done, So I don't know where the 11,000 kilometers the president is talking about. There are quite a number of roads that have not been done. Maybe the figures could be slightly less, but we give credit where he has done. The issue of electricity has quite a number of households has been connected, but there are quite a number of households that requires to be connected.
All right.
Yes.
Fantastic. The MP4 I'll die. I'll keep taking very quick interviews very easily to allow all members of parliament to ventilate on President Uhuru Kenyatta's speech. Very quickly, tell us who you are, which constituency you represent.
Yeah, I'm Honorable Hassan Ulufo, Member of Parliament for Isiolo North.
All right.
Yeah, I think His Excellency gave us a State of the Nation address. It is a kind of a scorecard, what he has achieved over the last 9 years since his first term. Of course, he talked about huge infrastructure development. He was able to compare what we were able to achieve as a country from the pre-independence period and also the 3 presidents which preceded him. Frankly speaking, I think we have had a huge leap in terms of expanding our infrastructure. The roads, for example, in the last 8 years, his government has been able to construct 10,000 kilometers of tarmac. In our own region, I think we are soon going to have the road from Isiolo, Modogashe to Wajir being part of what he has shared with us. One area where particularly I was interested and His Excellency touched on is response to the current drought. We are facing a very serious drought as a country, and I think in his Mashujaa Day speech, among the areas where he said money should be allocated to includes drought response, particularly the area of livestock offtake. He indicated that 1.5 billion has been allocated, but on the ground, nothing has happened. So in a nutshell, I think those who are tasked to ensure that this money is released to save assets of pastoralists by way of offtake have let him down. And that's one area where, particularly as a pastoralist, as a member of parliament representing pastoralist areas, I feel something needs to be done. We have received some rains and we have lost animals as a result of the receipt of these rains. Through that 1.5, we expected, apart from the offtake, the government to also provide livestock subsidies, feed supplements, which has not taken place. Yes, and this will have a very serious impact in terms of recovery from the drought. And I think in other areas, in terms of infrastructure for CIV's competence-based curriculum, which he touched on, I think things have started in my county. I can confirm. The sub-county directors of education have started collecting data on local contractors, and as indicated, we are confident that by first week of December, we are going to have the program being rolled out. It's a good thing, but generally I think he gave a very good speech. A very good speech.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Member of Parliament for Isiolo North, and now I'm joined by David Ole Sankok, the nominated Member of Parliament for Jubilee. Quick one again. Tell us how you read President Uhuru Kenyatta's speech today.
Yeah, it was excellent, especially on the issue of development, on the issue of infrastructure. It was perfect, and everything that he said was very true because of the issue of infrastructure. The only problem that I have is when they talk of constitutional moment and the issue of BBI. And mostly I liked where he said in 1992 we had post-election violence. In 1997 we also had post-election violence. 2013, 2017 we had post-election violence, and we only did not have post-election violence in 2002 because he gracefully accepted the outcome of the election, and that led to us being very peaceful in a peaceful transition. The only thing that he stopped short of mentioning that there have been a single denominator of violence in those years that we have been.
You can't say
violence. No, 1997. Whoever read the rejection letter of the outcome of the election was Raila Odinga. In 2007, his name was still there. In 2013, his name is still there. In 2017, his name is there. It cannot be a coincidence that he is the only presidential candidate who ever complained of any outcome of the election, and that led to post-election violence. If Uhuru had complained of the outcome of the election and had rejected the outcome of the election in 2002, when we had a transition, we will have had the worst violence ever in this country. But because he gracefully accepted, and I think he was sending a signal to all of us that let us accept the outcome of the election.
All right. Let me bring in a ranking member of the House as we wind up the commentary here. The Majority Whip, Emmanuel Wangwe. Sir, we might spend, like about 2 minutes discussing this, because quite telling of the president saying what didn't happen will happen. What is in the pipeline because you're the Majority Whip?
What didn't happen will happen.
Yes.
I might not really catch up with what he meant by that. It's also something we'll have to look at it, that what didn't happen will be able to happen. It's something to look at, yes.
But you have about 2 bills already in Parliament seeking to amend the Constitution, brought by the committee by Jeremiah Kioni. Probably that was the president was referring to.
I don't think so. He was only wishing that what didn't happen will happen, because there is still litigation in the process. There is an appeal at the Supreme Court. He hopes that now the Supreme Court will see the light of the day and give note that the BBI can proceed. At the same time, he was referring to what happened in Parliament and the steps that were taken. So according to me, one, he has acknowledged that the judiciary is independent. It can make its own decision. So according to me, it's okay. Yes.
But generally rating President Uhuru Kenyatta's speech today as a majority whip, very quickly.
I'll give him to the scale of 10 and 8. The reason being, the president has been able to move us from position 12 to position 6. Number two, the president has been able to highlight in numericals. He has given us numbers to compare in terms of, when you look at how he has grown the country, it has been very wonderful. Electricity he has mentioned. He has mentioned in terms of how we are now responsive to various issues. So to the scale of 10, I'll give him an 8, very comfortably. Yes.
Thank you very much. The majority with my minority. But very quickly, before I take back to studio, because I have a person who served in the public service and now the Member of Parliament. Thank you very much. Tell us about how you rate President Uhuru Kenyatta's speech.
I actually rate the president's speech very highly today, because if in a scale of 0 to 10, I would probably give him above 7. Why I say that? I think he has addressed the pertinent issues. He started with the issue of how we reacted to COVID as a country, and the dilemma the country had of either locking down and ruining the economy or keeping it open and people dying. And I appreciate that he actually at the beginning decided that we lock down so that we save people's health, but then do it in a measured way and from time to time open up so that the economy can actually recover in the period. I think that was fantastic. He brought out the issue that the way we reacted, we actually took the opportunity. We took the situation as an opportunity and actually improved the infrastructure of health. They may not be fantastic. People may not see it now. But if you look at the ICU beds that are available, the number of hospitals that are there, the capacity to produce oxygen, this is going to be a great in the future. So I think that was, I really liked that. And still going on health, the improvement that has occurred in health, for example, in Nairobi, when our director of medical services had indicated for a long time that the way to improve health services in Nairobi is not to expand Kenyatta, but to put more health facilities, which he has done. We had started by putting Kayole, Mama Lucy, but he has come and done 15 and doing more. When these are all in place, I think the health services will improve. His commitment, even though we have not reached having a universal health coverage and get insurance for all, I think that is really fantastic. Now, the idea of using the armed forces to resurrect some services like the Kenya Meat Commission, I think that data is impressive. So I think it's done the linking us with with infrastructure with the rest of Africa and within Kenya, the standard railways, the ports, those are important. But I want to say, the last one now, the realization that what was lost in BBI is a great loss. Today, the counties would have received over 560 billion instead of 365. The realization that if you expanded the executive to have more people, it's not expensive as other politicians would say that people are expanding, but just realize the handshake immediately stopped the fighting. And just realize even in 2007, when Kibaki and President Kibaki and again went to Kilaguni, all the fighting and the death stopped, and I saw them because I moved around. Now, what does it mean if now you had all people represented, they feel they belong there? The cost of that is so small compared to what we lose when people are fighting. He told you in 2017, we were losing 1 billion an hour. Now, what these people will earn is so small compared to the peace that comes and the improvement in the economy. Therefore, I agree with him